Greetings everyone, I hope you are well. I have had lots of questions about property sourcing, so I thought I would answer your questions collectively in one or two videos. There's lots of information to cover and I do intend to work my way through it in a series of videos about the entire subject because it is something that is of benefit to everyone. It's of benefit to you as individuals in terms of having the opportunity to buy and renovate property, whether it is for yourselves, to sell on, to rent, whatever the case may be. As I have said on many occasions, there are nearly 700,000 empty properties in England alone, many of which are derelict and unfit for purpose, and they are just sat there deteriorating, but unfortunately badly thought out policies from successive governments have not really done a great deal to encourage people to buy and renovate them, and that is something that I would like to do. Firstly, because I feel it is wrong that we have all of these properties sat there deteriorating when so many people need a home. There are opportunities for young people to get onto the property ladder, opportunities for everyday people to get into developing property, which is something that we as a nation in the UK love to do, and it makes good business from my point of view in terms of sourcing properties that I can then offer for sale to my clients, and we can all make a fee. But starting, first of all, most common one, how much is the fee? We normally charge on developments, investments and developments, we normally charge a 2% buy-side fee. Now, obviously, most of the developments that we have are of the higher end, so that fee is quite significant, and there comes a point where we won't achieve 2% because if the property is very expensive, people just won't pay that much, and we do need to come down. We're now at the other end of the spectrum where, especially further north, we could be dealing in quite cheap properties. So as a general rule, we would aim for 2% with a minimum of £3,000. That's normally fair. Mustn't be too greedy, because if you are too greedy, you are then giving people the incentive to dig their heels in and either not buy or just look for something that they can find directly, or to go to move heaven and earth to try to cut you out. So it's not very wise to be greedy, and I don't like doing business that way. And how we normally work, if it's a referral that's been brought to us, then we would split the fee with you. If you sell it directly to somebody yourselves, good luck to you. Still happy to help you with that, which then moves on to when is it paid. I appreciate that there are people online who seem to simplify everything and make it sound as though it's the easiest thing in the world, and you just get on the phone and, are you happy to go today? Yes, just PayPal me the money now. People don't do that. As a general rule, they don't. And it's unprofessional to expect that. Myself, the fee is paid on exchange of contracts. That's when I would ask for the fee. Sometimes it's not done until completion, but generally on exchange of contracts, and in many cases exchange and completion take place at the same time. I believe that that's the professional way to do things. I would not dream of asking people for a fee until we are certain that they have got what they are paying for when they pay the fee. And I believe that it's fair on all sides, and especially with the lower end property, it gives less incentive to people to move heaven and earth to try to bypass you if they know that you are being reasonable with regards to fee. And talking of being bypassed, how do you avoid that? That is something that we can help, because if we do have a genuine interested party, somebody who's serious, we have our own non-circumvent agreement, which covers you as best as you can possibly be covered, and we basically do our best to cover you as well. We're not asking you to provide us with any properties you may source exclusively, but what we do point out is that whatever you pass to us directly, then we will act on your behalf as well as on behalf of the seller and the buyer, so that everybody is looked after professionally. And unfortunately, I can't say that that will be the case with everyone, but of course the choice is yours as to what you do. Again, on that note, I have had questions from people, well, what if I wanted to renovate the property? What if I wanted to do this or I wanted to do that? And I am going to cover this. I will cover these in individual videos going forward about what properties you should buy, how to value them, how to market them, how to cover yourselves, how to work with us, how to beware of other agents, how to beware of other agents' buyers in disguise. Because if you look through YouTube, anybody who's got a mobile phone and a WhatsApp on their phone is suddenly a deal sourcer, and it's one thing making an arrangement with someone directly, direct to the vendor, direct to their representative. But many of these people come to you, how much is this property? How much do you want? Then they go on to the next person and they offer it and add a bit on top. And I've seen that happen where a property that we have off market that we know is ours direct to vendor, and it's worked away around 5 so-called deal sources, and it comes back to us and the fee's gone up from 2% to 3%, 4%, and the price has been loaded by tens or even hundreds of thousands of pounds. Sometimes I do think that people watch these videos online and get carried away. This is not easy. It does involve legwork, finding the properties. Then you've got to get hold of a copy of the deed. You've got to track down the owners. You've got to speak to the owners. And then firstly, the owners must be willing to sell or would consider selling. And if they are considering selling, then they must be realistic with the price. That's where you need to do your homework, and you need to you need to negotiate with them so that they get a fair price for the property, but the price of the property is reflected by the condition. So we're not trying to steal something from somebody by not giving them what it is worth. We are trying to buy something that's worth a lot less because of the condition that it is in, so that either you, your client, our client, the end buyer can then add value to that property and bring it back into use and make a profit at the same time, which is one of the main reasons that we are doing this. Of course, we are not communists, well, not yet anyway, but this is very, very ethical, because no matter what you do with a property, you're helping to bring these properties back into use. And the next question is, what types of properties are we looking for? Properties that can be developed and added value. This could be a property that's derelict. It could be a property that could be converted into something else. Think outside the box. Take a look around. Get a feel for the property, the street, the location, the entire area, the demographic, transport, any laws that apply in the area. Is the area an Article 4 area? Article 4 is the law where that brought in a bylaw, which means that you need a license before you can convert a property to a HMO, which is a house of multiple occupation. If it's not an HMO, then if it's not an Article 4 area, then take a look at where things stand with regards to accommodation in the area. If there is a demand for rooms in the area, then obviously it would be beneficial to convert a property into a HMO. And if that area is not covered by Article 4, does it adjoin an area that is covered by Article 4? Because if it is, there is every possibility that they will expand that area, that Article 4 area, to include where you are at some point in the future, which will mean that your HMO will gain a license under grandfather rights, and there'll be an uplift in property because no more can be converted without a license. So there are many, many variables there, and you do need to think outside the box, conduct your learning, learn as much as possible, and learn your area and know what is going on. Properties obviously suitable for converting to HMO, and also commercial property that can be converted into residential. That is also a huge one. What are the other advantages of buying properties that are derelict or unfit for habitation? For the main part, if they fall within a certain criteria, which I'm happy to discuss with you if you'd like to contact me, then you can avoid the stamp duty surcharge, which, as you may be aware, at the last budget went from 3% to 5%. That is a huge amount to pay on top of any applicable stamp duty that you already have to pay. But if the property is deemed uninhabitable, you do not have to pay that stamp duty surcharge. But what is uninhabitable? If you've ever got a mortgage for a property that needs fixing up, if it doesn't have a working kitchen or bathroom, it may be deemed unmortgageable in terms of a residential mortgage. That doesn't work with uninhabitable where HMRC are concerned. There are several factors that the property needs to fit into, and it must fit into that criteria. It must be in that condition on the day of completion. And in order to ensure that you don't fall foul of the law, you need to ensure that you have some sort of third-party survey conducted on the day of completion, because surprisingly enough, HMRC don't like it if they miss out, and they do normally come back at you and try and fight for their money. I don't know why, it's just what they do. So you need to be forewarned and forearmed, but I will cover this in the future. Also, I would seriously consider buying these properties in an SPV. That is a special purpose vehicle, a brand new limited company that you will create for the purpose of owning that property. Here's the other advantage. All properties bought into a company by a company across the board have to pay the stamp duty surcharge. But if the property is uninhabitable and you don't have to pay it, then you can get the property into a company under an SPV, which will mean if you, when you want to sell the property on, then it will be beneficial to an investor, because an investor will be buying a company which is a negligible charge, as opposed to a property which will have stamp duty plus the 5%. Think about it, on a £200,000 property, the stamp duty surcharge alone is £10,000. It costs you £50 to form a company and £20 for a registered office for the year. And that's it, to be perfectly honest. By the time you need to file your annual return, all being well, the property would have been renovated, refinanced, or sold, or and you would have moved on to the next property. Next question, what if the property is listed? Here's an interesting one, listed. There are many people out there, developers, who would not touch a Grade 2 listed property with a barge pole, understandably so, because they can be a nightmare. Never ever assume anything with a listed property. And yes, it can be an absolute nightmare, but sometimes it can work in your favour, because the fact that this property is listed may well have put off investors and developers for these very reasons. However, not all listed property officers are pedantic and a nightmare to deal with. Some of them do love the properties and want to see them brought back into use. So establish if a property is listed. You'll probably find that a derelict listed property will attract far less interest than one that is not. And then conduct some research on what you would need to do, and make an appointment and go and speak to the listings officer and see how the land lies, and see if you can establish a pathway to renovation that they would agree to. Because you may very well find that they'll say to you, well, as a general rule, we don't like the windows to be replaced. We would want you to have windows made exactly the same out of wood or metal frame or whatever is there. But not always the case. They may specify to you, yes, you'd need a certain window and this company normally matches our criteria. and then you make the problem of ensuring that the replacement windows satisfy the listings officer. You pass that on to the window company. Yes, it may be 2,000-3,000 more than it would do for a normal property, but if you get past that and past the front door and one or two other externals, the rest can become easier. And in my experience, you'll probably find that many people who deal with listed properties, who manage them, would be happy to work with you to see these properties brought back into use and saved, rather than allowed to continue deteriorating until they fall down. Anyway, I think that's all for now. Otherwise, I will be waffling on for ages. I will cover other things in other videos. Please feel free to email me. I will put my email in the video at the end or in the description. Please email me, because I can so easily miss messages. Sometimes they disappear or I forget about them. So please email me. And email me your full name so that I can make sure that I save your details and I can revert back to you and help you with whatever you would like to know. In the meantime, good luck. Anything you'd like to know, please feel free to get in touch anytime, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye for now.